Welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy.
RIP. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is like Cooper Rush had 23 pass attempts and he threw for like 45 passing yards. There's something insane like that. This is not going to be good. Like you've taken so many steps down with CeeDee Lamb for the rest of the season.
Probably. Here's the only saving grace is I looked at how he did with Cooper Rush 2022 when Dak went down with the thumb and the hand injury. And it's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's fine. Full PPR, 15 points, 22 points, 21 points, 10 points, 12 points. And that's how he did.
Okay.
That's fine.
It's not terrible.
Fine. No. So I don't think there's any reason to sell CeeDee Lamb. I don't think there's anybody that should panic on CeeDee Lamb. It's just not going to be week winning upside that he had with Dak. So I would strongly encourage people to try to make a move to get CeeDee Lamb. But I think his ceiling is absolutely capped at 25. Well, because it's CeeDee Lamb. If he's going to be your wide receiver 2 or 3 on your team, I think that's going to be fine.
What do you think do you think that owner is going to take that cheap of a deal?
Probably not.
Right. I would.
That's why I think go for it.
would. If I have CeeDee Lamb, I think I'm trying to sell right now.
It depends who's available.
Right. And so I think I'm trying to sell. Depending on what you can get. But like if you can go get. Like if you could go. We're going to talk about this guy next. But like if you could go get Tyreek Hill, I'm going to go get Tyreek Hill. And like there could be somebody who's. The Tyreek Hill manager is super fed up with the season, and they're done. Even in another game with Tua back, just 11 fantasy points. Like they're just super done with it. But the Dolphins just won, and if they're trying to make a push, if they're going to try and make the 7th seed in the AFC, like they're gonna make sure he gets involved. So like, if you can do that, I'll be honest. Like I might trade him. I might trade him for Calvin Ridley. I might trade him for like Calvin Ridley plus, not straight up, but like I might trade like Calvin Ridley and like an RB2. Like if you could, like I might do that. Like I might
get another running back. I think would be fine. Yeah, I like that.
I'm worried if Ridley if Lamb comes out and just has another 8-point game again, you can't trade him. Like you can't get value out of him after that. If he has another stinker against the Texans.
Like if Texans.
I don't like. You won't be able to get like the value for him that you can, and then you're just going to be kind of stuck with him. And he's going to be in your lineup every week because he's CeeDee Lamb. But like, you could send him now for Calvin Ridley plus Josh Jacobs or something like that. Like see if you can make that trade work or something along those lines. And I would probably accept
interesting.
That.
That's interesting. I like this, and I want to hear what people think of this. Who would you rather have rest of season, CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill? That's a great question.
Yeah.
2 first-rounders that have had some up and downs, and right now they're both still pretty bad. Who would you rather have rest of season? I like Tyreek Hill.
I do too, and he's the next guy we're talking about here. As I mentioned, 11.7 fantasy points. Both these guys are in a similar situation. They've been good or disappointing at weeks. And if you have them, you're rolling them out. Like that's the difficult part of it is that they're probably in your lineup, and that's kind of how it's going to go. So, Jaylen Waddle, however, I thought we were going to get a game, man.
I thought so too.
First drive, 2 big plays,
the wrist injury with Hill going in. Man, I thought for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a good one. I like the targets. I like the 6 targets, but. To be honest, I don't have Tua's stat line right in front of me, but the passing game itself wasn't at its finest.
No.
In this game,
I said it was do or die.
20 for 28, 207 and 1 touchdown. Waddle led the team in receiving yards, so I mean that's good. But it's tough. I traded for Jaylen Waddle. Unfortunately, he's been relegated now to my bench. Fortunately, because I have Calvin Ridley and Cortland Sutton. So that's the fortunate part is that those guys get to come in.
Good for you.
But yeah, Waddle is no longer like just the every week start. Like it's just
He's no longer a risky boomer bust. Like there's no reason to have
like
him
it's
in your
not like a
lineup right now.
question
This is for
anymore.
real.
It's kind of like you need to see him have a couple good ones. Like he'll need a couple like 15 plus point games in a row with the good targets in it as well, with like the 5+ targets or 6 targets
Especially
in it
in
as well.
playoffs too. Playoffs coming
Yeah,
up. I
it's
mean, how are you
tough.
going to start Waddle with any confidence? So that's for real. But Tyreek Hill,
Yeah,
it's so good to see him get in the end zone, but there's still concern for me with 4 targets. That's concerning. And then
that's
16
scary.
yards.
Yeah,
What's going on here? I know he had a couple rushing
yeah,
yards as well, but truly, Devon Achane's the best running back and wide receiver on the team.
yeah. And Jonnu
He's
Smith, dude. Jonnu
and
Smith is
Jonnu
taking
Smith's come
over like
alive.
taking a real role here too. Yeah, they have taken like the passing game went from Hill and Waddle and Etienne, we saw him be involved last year too. It's now been spread out from like across like it was like between like 2.5 players last year to now like 5 players this year who are in line to get targets, and it's not been beneficial for the early round draft picks this year. Besides Devon Etienne, so yeah, disappointing stuff for sure.
The
Yeah,
morale you said, I think, is helpful for why you can still have faith in Tyreek Hill. They just got to win. They improve to 3 wins, and they have to basically win out. So there's an opportunity for the Dolphins to feel like, hey, we just beat a good team. By all respects, the Rams are a good team, fully healthy. So maybe there's some inspiration for Tyreek and Tua to air it out like they did last year. I'm still very worried if this happens again. It's too late. You know, the trade deadline for fantasy leagues is ending after this week, maybe next week, depends on people's formats.
I think it's soon.
I have one where it's the
it's
17th,
soon.
18th, something like that. So you gotta figure it out now.
Yeah, a couple of good matchups for the Dolphins wide receivers coming up: the Raiders, and then they do get the Patriots. Even though they are a top 10 pass defense, it's still a game where they might be able to exploit some stuff. But again, you just don't know who it's going to go to, so it's tough goings.